Hello, my name is Kathy and I like to read, so welcome back. Today's video, I thought I'd do something slightly different and I thought I would do an Autumn TBR video. So a list of books that I want to be reading this season, whether it's spooky season or just the crisp autumn air. And I thought it'd be fun to compile a list of my priority reads for this season. I think I've got about 13 books so far that I've compiled. Obviously there's loads more, but I thought I'll keep it to a round figure. No, it's not even a round figure. I've got 5 off my physical TBR. I think there's 5 Kindle reads / books that I'd need to buy, and then there's 3 anticipated releases. I will say, I am filming this on a hot day. This is like probably one of the last hot days we're going to have in August, and while my heart is in the spooky autumn vibes, my atmosphere is not. So just imagine a bunch of like autumn leaves and decor. I will be decorating in the first week of September. Just imagine all the pumpkins and mushrooms. They will be coming. But I was just too excited to film this video that I didn't want to wait. So yeah, let's get into the book. So the first book that I want to read this season, and it's the book that's probably been on my TBR the longest, and that is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. This is a finished trilogy, I believe, and I think it's YA. And all I know is that I think death is personified in this, and I think this has got gothic atmosphere. But let me just read you the synopsis. Orphaned as a child, Signa Farrow has been raised by a string of guardians, each more interested in her wealth than her well-being, and each has met an untimely end. Her only remaining relatives are the elusive Hawthorns, an eccentric family living at Thorngrove, an estate both glittering and gloomy. When a restless spirit appears claiming she was poisoned, Signa realises the Hawthorns could be in grave danger and enlists the help of a surly stable boy to hunt down the killer. But Signa's best chance of uncovering the murderer is an alliance with Death himself, and as the mystery unfurls, Signa realises their growing connection may be more irresistible than she dared imagined. So I think this is YA, and it's just, I've heard it's like gothic vibes, and it's kind of what I'm into. I kind of like the idea of reading something that's a bit shorter than some of the absolute beasts I've got on this list. So I would be interested to start this series, and I like knowing that it's a trilogy. I think there is a holiday novella coming out, but I like the idea that I know that it's finished. It's only 3 books, so if I do really like this, I've not got too much of the series to get through. So that is the first book. I'm hoping to do a 24-hour readathon, and I think something like this would be perfect for it. Can't wait for that. So the second book on my list, and the one that's probably the most apt for this season, is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and this is by Laurie Gilmore, which I know is a pen name, and it's supposed to sound like a Gilmore Girls name, you know, Lorelai Gilmore and things like that. I've got no idea what this is about, but all I can tell is that this is the only appropriate season to read this book. This was actually like, I found this in Aldi. I think it was like £3, and I know this is just like a little fluffy book. I don't think it's particularly highly regarded, but it might just be a little fun time, and like I said, it's the best season to read this. So let me read the synopsis. When Jeannie's aunts gift her with the beloved Pumpkin Spice Cafe in the small town of Dreen Harbour, Jeannie jumps at the chance for a fresh start away from her very dull desk job. Same, can relate. Logan is a local farmer who avoids Dream Harbour's gossip at all costs, but Jeannie's arrival disrupts Logan's routine, and he wants nothing to do with the irritatingly upbeat new girl, except that he finds himself inexplicably drawn to her. Will Jeannie's happy-go-lucky attitude win over the grumpy but gorgeous Logan, or has this city girl found the one person in town who won't fall for her charm or her pumpkin spice lattes? I have to confess, I don't actually like pumpkin spice. I used to really dislike cinnamon. However, this year I'm kind of like getting more to it because my boyfriend loves an iced cinnamon bun, so I've been slowly trying it more and more. I do try a pumpkin spice latte every year just to confirm that I still don't like it, but hey, maybe this will be the year that I enjoy it, and maybe I'll really enjoy this book. I know this is part of Dream Harbour series, and they're all quite seasonal. I think the next one is the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and then there's the Christmas Tree Farm one, and I think there's a Strawberry Pancake one, and I just thought, you know what, as like a little romance palette cleanser, I thought that'd be really fun. And like I say, you can't read this at any other time. This would be the only time that I would read this, so hopefully I'll get to that probably before November. I feel like this is a September-October read. Hopefully I'll take this off my physical TBR. So the next one is actually quite a new addition to my TBR. I've only bought this recently, and it is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. Something about this, maybe it's the sorcery aspect, it's like witchy vibes. It just gives me like autumn feels? I'm not crying. It just gives me like awesome atmosphere, so I'd really like to read this soon. I've not read anything by T. Kingfisher, and there's a whole backlist of stuff that I want to read, and maybe this will be a good start. So let me read the synopsis. The house doesn't have any doors between rooms. There are no secrets in this house. Cordelia isn't allowed to have a single friend. The only time she feels truly free is on her daily rides with her mother's beautiful white horse, Falada? Falada. But more than a few quirks set her mother apart, other parents can't force their daughters to be silent and motionless, obedient for hours or for days on end. Other mothers aren't sorcerers. After a suspicious death in their small town, Cordelia's mother insists they flee in the middle of the night, leaving behind all Cordelia has ever known. They arrive at the remote country manor of a wealthy older man, the squire, and his unwed sister, Hester. Cordelia's mother intends to lure the squire into marriage. Cordelia knows this can only be bad news for the bumbling gentleman and his kind, intelligent sister. Hester sees the way Cordelia shrinks away from her mother, how the young girl sits eerily still at dinner every night. She knows that to save her brother from bewitchment and to rescue the terrified Cordelia, she'll have to face down a wicked witch of the worst kind. That's fun. This is more like Halloween opposed to autumn, but sometimes I like to lump it together. You've got like your crisp autumn leaves and your fall atmosphere, then you've got your spooky gothic Halloween vibes, and I like to do a bit of both, so this TBR will actually be for a bit of both. I just think that's quite fun, and it's like a nice short read. It's a standalone. I am struggling with the fact that I'm starting too many series, so I like the idea of picking up some little cozy reads, or in this case eerie reads, in between all the series that I'm currently in the middle of. And I like the whole like marriage aspect of it, so it's bewitching and enchanting, and that would be so much fun. So the next one is actually on my August TBR, but I do not think I won't get to it in time, and that is Nocticadia by Kerry Lake. This is a chunky one, and this is dark academia. This isn't fantasy. To be fair, there's only 2 out of the 4 that are fantasy so far, so this is dark academia, this is romance. I think this is dark romance, and I know that so many people love this book, and also so many people compare other stuff to this, so I like to read the original first, or what people like to relate it to. For example, Exorcism of Fairies feels very similar to this, so I want to read this first so I know what the blueprint is, basically. And I will read the synopsis for this as well. After watching my mother succumb to a mysterious illness, I promised myself 2 things. I'd find the cure for what ravaged her, and I'd leave the godforsaken city where she abandoned me. 4 years later, I received an acceptance letter from Drocadia University, one of the oldest, most prestigious schools in the country. Nestled on a secluded island off the coast of Maine, it's rumoured to be haunted by the souls of the mental patients exiled there centuries before, those whose bones are said to make up the island's white sandy shores. And restless ghosts aren't even the most daunting peculiarity. Devitt Bramwell, known on campus as Dr. Death, is a brilliant pathologist in charge of the Midnight Lab. He's also my devastatingly handsome professor, who seems to loathe tenacious first years like me, except his dark and enigmatic gaze tells me all the ways he'd devour me if given the chance, and his stolen kisses burn my lips with forbidden jealousy. I crave his authority, he aches for redemption. Together we're toxic, delicious fodder for the prying eyes, hellbent on exhuming the rotted skeletons of our past. For the dead have much to teach, and it's only a matter of time before Dracadia's most depraved secret is resurrected. That actually gives a lot of the vibes on here. So I knew this was a dark gothic romance. I knew this was teacher-student. So to me, September is like academic season, because it's when like the school year starts, and to me, September is back to school. So the idea of reading something dark academia is really enticing. And I know that so many people love this. Like Devitt Bramwell is a lot of people's like top MMCs of all time. So I'm really intrigued to meet him, basically. So that is another one that I'm hoping to. I am actually going to probably try and read this soon, and I'm going to save an Audible credit for it because I will need some help getting through this book, whereas the other ones I could potentially sit and read in a few sittings without needing an audiobook. But sometimes for the chunkier books I like to have an audiobook because it almost like puts you into the atmosphere a bit more. So that is another one on my TBR this season. So the last book on my physical TBR that I want to have as a priority to read is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and this is by V.E. Schwab. The marketing for this has been fantastic because all I know is toxic lesbian vampires, and that just is enough to give me autumn vibes, Halloween vibes, spooky vibes. So let me read the synopsis. And also I was very lucky to have the beautiful Fairy Loot edition, and I will be reading this copy because why not? Books are there to be read, even pretty special editions. So the special editions I don't read are the ones where I've already read the book and I love it and I want to get a really nice trophy book, but if it's part of my subscription boxes, then yeah, I'm gonna read it. Let me show you this in case you haven't seen it before. I'm very lucky to have such a beautiful copy, and let me just read the synopsis. This is a story about hunger. 1532, Santo Domenico della Calzada. A young girl grows up wild and wily, and Maria knows she can only ever be a pawn in men's games. So when an alluring stranger offers an alternate path, Maria makes a desperate choice. A story about love. A young woman lives a cloistered life on her family's estate until a moment of forbidden intimacy sees her slipped off to London. Once there, a beautiful widow offers Charlotte her freedom, but at what cost? College was supposed to be a fresh start. That's why Alice moved halfway across the world. Then an out-of-character one-night stand leaves her questioning everything. Alice throws herself into the hunt for answers and revenge. This is a story about life, how it ends and how it starts again. This has been so many people's 5-star reads. I have really high expectations for this. I've never read anything by V.E. Schwab, and I would like to read, I think the ones that intrigues me is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I think I nearly put on this list as well. Really looking forward to reading this. So the next few books that I want to read are on Kindle Unlimited, I believe, and so that's probably where I'll be reading them. And I love Kindle Unlimited. I think it's great. I think it's really good for this season as well, because there's loads of, in particular, fantasy romance and indie published books are on there as well. So if you want to like get into the hype of reading indie books, a lot of them are on there, and I think that's great for both me and for the indie authors, because that means you get more exposure and things like that. So I picked a few off Kindle Unlimited that I'd like to read. So going on from reading vampires and getting into more the Halloween vibes, I would finally like to start The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I actually do have a special edition of The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, I think it is, which I think is the first book in the second duet, but I may be wrong. So from what I can gather, it seems to be a compilation of duets, and I've realised that duologies, duets, I love them. They're my favourite. I loved One Dark Window, The Bridge Kingdom, The Crimson Moth. I just like knowing that the story is going to be wrapped up in two. Even if the overarching story still continues, I like that the characters are all like tied up in a neat little bow. So let me read you. I mean, I won't lie to you, a lot of these books are very, very popular. You've probably heard of them all before, but I just thought it'd be nice to put them into a little list and maybe throw in ones that you hadn't considered. Like if you're a fantasy romance girl like me, why not pick up Pumpkin Spice Cafe? If you usually read dark academia, why not pick up a fantasy romance and things like that? So I just thought it'd be fun to put all this list together, just as like a seasonal TBR. So yeah, the synopsis is: human or vampire, the rules of survival are the same. Never trust, never yield, and always, always guard your heart. The adopted human daughter of the night-born vampire king, Araya carved her place in a world designed to kill her. Her only chance to become something more than prey is entering the Kijari, a legendary tournament held by the goddess of death herself. But winning won't be easy amongst the most vicious warriors from all three vampire houses. To survive, Araya is forced to make an alliance with a mysterious rival. Everything about Rain is dangerous. He is a ruthless vampire, an efficient killer, an enemy to her father's crown, and her greatest competition. Yet, what terrifies Araya the most is that she finds herself oddly drawn to him. There's no room for compassion in the Kijari. War for the House of Night brews, shattering everything that Araya thought she knew about her home. And Rain may understand her more than anyone, but their blossoming attraction could be her downfall in a kingdom where nothing is more deadly than love. And it just says that, yeah, that it's a series. So I think I remember, yeah, so it's Games and Trials. Obviously, Enemies to Lovers, which is it's a very popular trope, but I feel like a lot of stuff is labelled as Enemies to Lovers when it's not. It might just be like Reluctant Allies or Forbidden Love, but this seems like Enemies to Lovers, and I like the whole idea of like true enemies to lovers, so I'm really interested in that. I've not read a Twilight book since I've not read a vampire book since Twilight, and something about reading them. The Poisoner by Ivy Ophelia, that was the most recent vampire book that I read that was just solely vampires, because a lot of the books that I've read has been like a combination of creatures, and vampires might be included, but The Poisoner was only, well, vampire I guess, but essentially vampires, so I am interested to pick it up. And I also like the idea of reading all the novellas, because some people say that Six Scotch Roses is like one of the best novellas ever. So obviously you need to read the books to get there. So I'm really excited to finally start it. Okay, so the next book I've got on my list is Enchantra, and I'm really looking forward to reading that again. I think that is a high priority for me. I loved Phantasma. I read it a couple months ago. I've ordered the Fairy Loot special editions after reading them because I really loved it. And I believe Enchantra is following her sister, but let me read the synopsis for you. So this is book 2 in the Wicked Games series, which is it classed as an interconnected series? It's an interconnected series, but this is following Ophelia's sister, Genevieve. Genevieve Grimm has felt adrift ever since her sister became the head of the family, so when a mysterious friend of their mother's invites her to Italy, she accepts. She arrives at his grand palace, expecting passion and magic, decadence and luxury, perhaps even a midnight ball. I love a ball scene. I love an event, and yeah, with gowns and music and an excuse for someone to cause a scene, basically. She doesn't expect the owner's ruthlessly handsome son to slam the door in her face. Rowan Silver is tall, dark and exceptionally rude, and invitation or not, he demands Genevieve leave and never come back. But Genevieve follows nobody's orders, especially those of arrogant rich boys. She slips inside and immediately discovers her mistake. Rowan and his family are caught in an insidious game of hide and seek where only one can win. The rest will be trapped in hell until the competition begins again. Genevieve must either join the hunt or forfeit any hope of escaping, but to her dismay, the best chance of survival lies with Rowan. Since lovers may play as pair, Rowan and Genevieve agreed to form an alliance under the guise of a fake courtship. However, as they race through the game's elaborate labyrinth, that's hard to say, trapped among gleaming gold and shining marble, their loathing gives way to irresistible attraction. Only Rowan is keeping secrets, especially when it comes to his ruthless family, and Genevieve can't help but wonder if she's trapped in two treacherous games, Enchantra and the one Rowan is playing with her heart. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews in terms of if people preferred Phantasma or Enchantra, but I feel like I'm just going to eat it up regardless. I'm so looking forward to this one. So, like I said, and I'm sure I will love it, which is why I've already ordered the Fairy Loot versions, but after reading Phantasma, I'm here for it. I'm ready for Wicked Games Part 2. The next book on this list is An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson, and this is dark academia, and that's as far as I know. I saw somebody on BookTube reading it, and I love the cover because it's got it's black with like a gold moth on it. And I actually went to Waterstones today, and I nearly picked up a physical copy, but it was the paperback, and it didn't have the moth on it, or the bee, or whatever bug it is. I can't remember what it is. And I didn't want it, so maybe this will be one that I get a hardback for. I am currently waiting for the audiobook to come free on my library, so because again, I think I would like to listen to a lot of these books at the same time, and if possible, I'm going to try and listen to as many on audio, because I love to immersive read. Yeah, I'm just really excited. Really excited, but apparently I've got no idea what it's about. Let me tell you what it's about. A student will find that the hardest lessons sometimes come out of the classroom. Lennon Carter's life is falling apart. Then she gets a mysterious phone call inviting her to take the entrance exam for Drayton College, a school of magic hidden in a secret pocket of Savannah. Lennon has been chosen because, like everyone else at the school, she has the innate gift of persuasion, the ability to wield her will like a weapon, using it to control others and, in rare cases, matter itself. After passing the test, Lennon begins to learn how to master her devastating and unsettling power, but despite persuasion's heavy toll on her body and mind, she is wholly captivated by her studies, by Drayton's lush, moss-draped campus, and by her brilliant classmates. But even more captivating is her charismatic advisor, Dante, who both intimidates and enthralls her. As Lennon continues in her studies, her control grows, and she starts to uncover more about the secret world she has entered into, including the disquieting history of Drayton College, and the way her mentor's tragic and violent past intertwines with it. She is increasingly disturbed by what she learns, for it seems that the ultimate test is to embrace absolute power without succumbing to corruption, and it's a test she's terrified she's going to fail. Yeah, that sounds really good. It's like spooky, gothic, dark academia, everything for the season. It sounds chef's kiss, what I want, and it's a standalone. I'm excited for that one. So this one I've only just added to my TBR because I was kind of umming and ahhing, because I read The Poison It by Ivy Ophelia, and Laura Reed's recommended that and loves that one. This is another one that I'm pretty sure that she liked. It is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. Again, absolutely no idea what it's about, so let me just read the synopsis for you. S.T. Gibson's sensational novel is a darkly seductive tale of Dracula's first bride, Constanta. This is my last love letter to you, though some would call it a confession. Saved from the brink of death by a mysterious stranger, Constanta, am I saying that right? Is transformed from a medieval peasant into a bride fit for an undying king. But when Dracula draws a cunning aristocrat and starving artist into his web of passion and deceit, Constanta realises that her beloved is capable of terrible things. Finding comfort in the arms of her rival consort, she begins to unravel their husband's dark secrets. The lives of everyone she loves on the line, Constanta will have to choose between her own freedom and her love for her husband. But bonds forged by blood can only be broken by death. Yeah, I'm just looking at the ratings, and Laura Reed's, Bailey, Rachel Ravenhair Reeder, Mel Lenore, yeah, they all love it, so I'm sure I will too. Obviously Dracula is a vampire, it's more vampires, but I feel like you just can't get enough of that type of thing at this time of year, so why not? Oh, okay, so I did add this. So yes, the 10th book that I've added to this list is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and that is by V.E. Schwab. From what I can remember, this is gothic atmosphere, but I will read the synopsis. France, 1714. In a moment of desperation, a young woman makes a Faustian, I don't know how you pronounce that word, bargain to live forever and is cursed to be forgotten by everyone she meets. Thus begins the extraordinary life of Addie LaRue, and a dazzling adventure that will play out across centuries and continents, across history and art, as a young woman learns how far she will go to leave her mark on the world. But everything changes when, after nearly 300 years, Addie stumbles across a young man in a hidden bookstore and he remembers her name. That sounds so good. I actually was watching an old video from Jodie from Vanilla Moon, and she said because she read this book in autumn, it gives her autumn vibes, and it just sounds good. It sounds spooky and gothic, and yeah, these books are all giving similar vibe. You'll probably notice that I'm not very much into cozy fantasies, and the idea of reading like a cozy autumn book isn't necessarily for me. In a fantasy setting, I'm open to trying autumn romances, which is what I've got on this list. I am open to trying stuff once, but I've read a couple cozy fantasies and they're not 100% for me just yet. Maybe I need to find the right one. But so a lot of these books are very similar in their gothic, dark, spooky atmosphere, dark academia, fantasy romance. So it's same old, but not. It's just, I think it would just be fun to put this list together. Those are the 10 books that I'm prioritised for reading in this season. However, I am going to give you a few more recommendations because these are anticipated releases, but they are all sequels. First one is Eldritch by Kerry Lake, and this is the second book to Anathema, which is the Eating Wood series. I recently read Anathema and it was great. It was really high fantasy. I do have a reading vlog on this if you'd like to hear more, so I'm really excited to read the sequel of that. In Anathema you have two POVs. You've got Mavis. She was left on the edge of the Eating Woods as a baby. No one knows where she came from. All the patriarchs in the family die and she's left with her step-grandmother. Her step-grandmother no longer wants to take care of her and her sister. She tries to get rid of them by marrying her off, and that's where Mavis' story starts. You've also got Zavander's POV. Now Zavander is in the other realm, the one that's not the mortal one, and at the beginning of the book you see that he's been cursed with sable fire, which is this blood curse. His goal and aim in life is to get rid of this curse, and he needs Mavis' help to do this, and it follows them along the way. So Kerry Lake's writing, it's perfect for this time of year. As you can see, I've already got Nocticadia on this list and can't wait. I don't know if I'll be reading this like super close to the release date, but I will definitely try and get to reading this in this season. So another anticipated release is The Arachnid by Ivy Ophelia. This is following on from The Poisoner, which I've literally just finished reading. I think this is coming out in October, I believe, so it's not too long to wait. And this follows Alina, who is a botanist at heart. She loves botany and algae and all things green. She goes to a party and meets Silas, which is this creature, and the story goes from there. This is more of like a vibes book, so I can't say too much of the plot without giving it away. But the ending of book 1, and then I know that book 2 is, there's a passage of time before book 2 starts, so I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I think we're in a new location and I just want to see how it develops, and it was just like I say, it was mostly just like character development and vibes and all that. There was very little plot, but the plot that I did get, I was then like eating it up by the end of it, so I'm really looking forward to that one coming out as well. And then the final book, which is probably my most anticipated book for the year, and that is Brimstone by Callie Hart. I think this is coming out in November. I've pre-ordered it. It's on the way. I know it will turn up on my doorstep on the release day, and I will make sure I am free to read it straight away. I'm sure you all know what Quicksilver's about, but we follow Ceres and Kingfisher. Ceres is immortal. She gets transported through the Quicksilver and enlisted by Kingfisher to help out in this war between realms, and a bunch of stuff happens, and yeah, book 2 is coming out soon. I cannot wait for this. I'm so hyped for it. I loved Quicksilver. It was really good, and Brimstone is gonna have really high expectations. I wish it was kind of coming out a little bit sooner, like more October time, but I can wait until November. I've got so many more books to read on my TBR that I'm sure I can wait. That is my most anticipated book of 2025. I only read Quicksilver at the start of this year, so luckily I didn't have as long to wait as other people that potentially read Quicksilver sooner, but still, I can't wait for it. So that is my list of 13 books. There are obviously loads of other ones, loads of honourable mentions, all a bunch of stuff that I cannot wait to read, but you know, there's only so many hours in the day. Hopefully I'll get to quite a few of these. I'm thinking of skipping doing my TBR prompts for a bit so I can mood read, because I am going on holiday in September, but we'll see, I guess. And if you've got any other autumn spooky, not spooky, cozy, whatever, if you've got any other recommendations that you think I should read this season, please let me know. Like I said, this is a bit of a different video for me, but hopefully it goes down well, hopefully it's enjoyable. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Also, by the way, if you see this is not a club stamp. I went to a craft and flea fair and they stamped me.